We're going to go through a walking program, and if you've watched my previous videos on hiking and yoga, it doesn't have to be that fancy. I just want you to start something where you're walking, and just because it's Chicago and there's snow outside doesn't mean you can't walk. So we don't really have to. We're not going to need we're not going to need crampons. We're not going to need snowshoes. We're not going to need a compass or GPS. This is something that's really easy. I carry my own personal protection, but sometimes, depending on your neighborhoods or if you're in a forest preserve, you might want to carry sound or mace, tear gas. So that's totally up to you. Water is important. It depends on your distance or your level of tolerance, but right now it is 3:07. I'm going to keep an eye on the time. So the objective when you start something like a walking program is just to get out. And there's a theory that people who are nature deprived sometimes don't control inflammation properly, and or when you get out to nature you can actually have better control. There's something about quiet, the unplugging. I mean, unplugging from internet, from television, from news, radio, from bad noise. I always tell my folks that are going through a little bit of a change, if they're going to start on a weight loss program of some sort, or an exercise routine, or New Year's resolution, might want to try to detox first. Detox, and I've done videos on detoxing. Detox can take up to a week to 2 weeks, and sometimes you can actually buy supplements, detox in a box. I'll put a link to a previous talk on detoxing. Sometimes you have to kind of see what's available in your local trusted vitamin shop. You just have to remember, with regards to vitamins or supplements that you find over the counter, the FDA has made it so that companies are responsible for their own checks and balances. And as I've mentioned before, that's kind of like letting a salesman be in control of his own taxes. Nothing against salesmen, but sometimes we don't follow the rules or become lackadaisical. So in a few studies in the early 90s, there were tests on the supplements that are over the counter on the shelf, and the majority of the tested bottles did not have what was on the label. So that's a little bit distressing. That's why I usually tell my folks who come to see me, and it seems like they're on a slew of different things, you really get what you pay for. So nothing against Walgreens or CVS or Costco, but I'd have to see the manufacturing process of those places in particular before I purchase anything from there. Now, that also depends on, not to get on too much of a supplement thing, but that also depends on your budget, whatever you eat, how bad you are with your disease process and your medicine. So, not to make this a supplement talk, but that's part of the detox thing, and so is activity, bringing us back to what we're doing now. When you first start out with activity, an activity practice of some sort, or finding your activity, it might take a little bit of a professional twist. You might have to ask somebody or hire somebody, like an exercise physiologist, not covered by the insurance, to help you in exploring your weaknesses, your strengths, your likes, your expectations, and adding or developing from that template. If you just go out, like my typical 20 to 30-year-old males, go out and do weight training at Planet Fitness, missing the boat in my opinion. I just started to return back into the same bodybuilding movements that I did back in the 80s. It was kind of fun. I forgot what it was like. But that might not be what I'm looking for now in my 50s. So sometimes I'll grab little things from my past, add to what I'm doing now. I used to be a bodybuilder, power lifter. I never stretched. Sprinter. I didn't like distance, and something changed, and I am now teaching yoga, and I have reversed it. So I do very little weight training. I still keep up with weight training, but I do more stretching, flexibility, breath technique. So I'm gonna take this. So walking, this also depends on your environment. So again, the objective is to begin something on a regular basis. And I just want you out. If you do treadmill or machines in the basement, I think that's okay as long as there's an endpoint. Most people become very bored with machines in the house. Stationary position where you're not looking at anything different, maybe a TV, which I'm trying to get you guys to unplug with, might not be the best. And they can become very boring. With boredom comes non-sustainable event. So if we're going to make lifestyle changes to last, it has to be exciting. So if you have a machine, take advantage of it, but have an endpoint where you'll daisy chain into the next activity. Something where you'll probably have to get outside or have to get out with other people. Dean Ornish came up with activities that decrease risk factors for heart disease and reverse cholesterol blocking, and one of them was nutrition. Another is group therapy. He found that in addition to yoga and proper exercise and meditation, he found that group therapy was important as a dynamic for getting people to feel wanted, think outside the box, see that they're not the only people, they're not the only people on earth with the disease process. And sometimes when you think collectively as a group, when you become part of a group, it makes you feel wanted, and you can also feed off of the group as far as positives and negatives from the past. Okay, time. 13, have 4 more minutes before we get to 10. Again, 10 minutes up, turn around, 10 minutes back. So I slowed down my speed so that I don't have to, the best way to take advantage of activity, if you want to maximize on exercise, is to get it to the point where you're not able to get out a full sentence. That's when you know you're moving. And I'm getting there, but for the sake of you understanding me, I'm kind of keeping it on the low side. I would usually push the envelope with my walking activity, but again, I want to be able to have you understand this. So the bottom line is, we got to get out just on a regular basis. You know, the American Heart Association suggests 10 to 20 minutes 5 times a week. Sometimes you can combine them all up to 1 time a week. That's a lot of time. But if you're really pressed during the week, you can kind of save it up for the weekend, but you might end up with very sore muscles because of the time lapse between exercise adventures. During the week, you know, the average person takes about 5 to 10 minutes to poop, have a bowel movement, and that's considered normal. If you can take 5 to 10 minutes to do some form of breathing exercise or stretching exercise, well, it's not too much time out of your day, and it'll become normal for you. But it is important to try to do something on a regular basis. If you have regularity to it, it won't be so hard to get out of bed or to throw the shoes on, to throw the scarf on, earmuffs, gloves, and you'll actually feel pretty good when you're finished with it, if it becomes regular. Just like food, if you're used to eating Big Macs and getting that dopamine surge from the processed foods, it'll seem like it's hard to switch over to a mostly plant-based whole food diet, but it's doable. Again, we do it in phases. I think to kickstart things, it'll be important to detox or have guidance. Then after a while, you find your way. After the first 3 months, redo your goals, reset your bar with your exercise physiologist or your registered dietitian and your doctor, and you go for the next summit. So you just have to keep things in perspective, make it so you don't beat yourself up with going full organic, full non-GMO, all at once. I think that's just not sustainable. So I'm realistic, and sometimes even though people they say they don't have the cash for investing in a registered dietitian or an exercise physiologist, well, do you have the cash for $100 to $200 of co-pays with all the medicines that are coming to control high blood pressure, cholesterol, sugar, then other things and side effects from that? Then your back pain or your knee pain because you're not active and you're obese. So then disability, where you're not even working, and then your insurance runs out. So you really have to weigh the benefits and the risks, and not only that, you just feel better. When you feel better, everybody else feels better. 17, it's 10 minutes. So even if I wanted to do more of a path, I make it a clear-cut endpoint, and at the 10-minute mark, turn around and head back. Now I know my distance, big tree. What I'll do is probably take my car here later and see what the distance is, measure it out, and try to beat that in about a week to 2 weeks, if that makes sense. So the idea is you get out, you go on a regular pace where you can get a sentence out, but a little choppy. You stop at 10 minutes, you turn around, and then you head back. Try to measure that distance, then the next time go a little further. Whether it's a few more minutes, whether it's a few more blocks, you still keep it at 10 minutes is what I would suggest. 10-minute intervals, keep it real easy, comfortable shoes, stay protected, dress appropriately, and a lot of hydration depending on the temperature outside. If you maintain that at least 3 times a week, you should be able to get good practice up. So in 3 months, or if you get the calendar out 3 months, you'll have your summit, and you kind of refocus on the next big thing. Changing up neighborhoods, changing up your path to walk, taking a forest preserve or a desert or somewhere around you, a beach walk, and try to keep that for 3 months or maximize on that, and daisy chain into the next 3-month goal. So I am finished. This will be a 20-minute walk for me, and that's pretty much done. I did 75 minutes of yoga, and then yesterday some weight training. But again, for me, I have a goal in 3 months of leading a group, and that's what keeps me healthy. Also keeps my group healthy with having an idea of what I expect of them. So you see, my benefit is their benefit is my benefit. There is a goal to all this, and the ultimate goal is to make it to 100 years of age, 90 to 100 years of age, with as little medicines and surgery as possible.